Looking at it from the mortgage perspective, buying a home is a big deal. And I think there's several ways that you can look at it. You can look at it as an investment for your family, look at it as a secured living space where your rent can't be increased or you can't be forced out. And you can also view it as a space of comfort that you can customize and make your own. Now, with the cost of living increasing significantly everywhere, I hear many people talking about they're going to wait for interest rates to come down and wait for the market to come down. So I decided to make this video to break down the finances and the economics on the cost of waiting, along with the impact that it has on the average homeowner. Okay, first and foremost, I want to be very clear that many people don't know, as a homeowner, when you have a primary residence, you can write off the mortgage interest that you pay each year on your tax return and get that back depending on your scenario. This alone is a major factor in minimizing the idea of interest rates in the market being too high. Now, in the current market, we do have interest rates that are higher than they were during COVID, which were at an all-time low. Add to that, market values and the prices of homes are significantly higher as well. And that means a lot of people have gained a lot of equity in their property. And with the higher property values and the higher interest rates, it reduces the amount of home buyers potentially in the market, mainly because there is an increase in the upfront costs, and there's also a lack of home buyer education that lead many people to presume they can't do it. Believe it or not, there is a major benefit to having a market where there's higher interest rates, and that is the sellers of these homes are more inclined to provide what are called seller concessions. And there's different parameters that can be met depending on the type of mortgage that you get. And these seller concessions are used to buy down the interest rate and help with closing costs. And there's a significant difference between the benefit of reducing the price of a home $10,000, which reduces your payment about $60 approximately, versus providing seller concessions of $10,000, where you could buy down the interest rate and save a couple $100 a month on your monthly payment. So the difference is the monthly cash flow aspect of it. Now, I want to address what the real estate market is potentially going to do when the interest rates come down. As I mentioned, there are many people who have considered buying a home, but they actually haven't sat down with a mortgage advisor and gone through the finances and the month-to-month breakdown to see the difference between the two scenarios. And we just went over a scenario where you don't have to wait on interest rates to come down. You can use a seller concession to help bring those down and have a cheaper payment. Now, when interest rates do start to go down, like they did a couple years ago, home values and prices are going to start to go up significantly. And what this means is that by waiting, you're missing out on equity or increased values in your home. Also, we're going to get a lot more potential home buyers jumping back into the market, and all of a sudden we have a big demand again, which in turn decreases the need for sellers to provide concessions on their homes when they sell it. And you have no money from the seller to help you either with closing costs or interest rate buy down. Okay, now I want to get into the financial breakdown and talk numbers with you in regard to the cost of waiting. So utilizing an FHA loan on a $400,000 purchase, it's a 3.5% down payment, which is about $14,000. And let's say the average rate right now is 6.75%. Your principal and interest payment is going to be about $2,595. And then you still have to add in homeowner's insurance, mortgage insurance, property taxes, and HOA. And that's going to vary depending on the property. And in this scenario, let's say you get $6,000 in seller concessions to pay the interest rate down 1% to 5.75% for 1 year. That's going to bring your principal and interest payment down to $2,334, giving you a savings of $261 a month. And on top of that, you'll have leftover seller concessions to help you with your closing costs. Now, if you wait till interest rates come down to 5.5% on a $400,000 mortgage, your principal and interest payment will be $2,192. But remember, you still need to add in your homeowner's insurance, your mortgage insurance, your property taxes, and your HOA. I also want to point out that in this scenario, it's quite likely you'll lose out on any seller concessions because of the increased competition in the market. Basically, you're going to have more buyers looking to buy homes. Now, this payment is $403 less per month, or $4,836 less per year in comparison to buying at 6.75%. and it's $142 cheaper per month or $1,704 cheaper per year than if you were to get the 1-year interest rate buy down to 5.75%. Now here's where the real comparison comes in. I want to bring up that the annual average equity percentage growth in real estate over the last 50 years is 4.2% per year. And in the last 5 years, it's been significantly higher. Now on a $400,000 home, that's $16,800 in equity growth in year 1. At that same 4.2% equity growth, in year 2, your property would be worth $434,000, and in year 3, that same $400,000 property is worth $452,000 now. And so from a financial perspective, the real question becomes, do you want to miss out on almost $17,000 in equity in year 1 by waiting to reduce your payment $142 a month or $1,704 a year? And remember, on top of that, when it's your primary residence, you get to write off the mortgage interest when you do your tax returns. Or on the flip side, an alternative perspective is that, do you want to continue paying $1,800 a month to your landlord and none of that $21,600 over that year comes back to you in any shape or form? Look, I know it's easy to get discouraged when talking about real estate and the increased cost of living, especially when you're talking about with your family and friends. Everyone has an opinion. But which of their opinions actually breaks down the math with you and goes over the economics of the financial impact of waiting? Because it's actually costing you a lot more money to wait to buy. Remember, that $400,000 home now in 3 years is going to be selling for about $452,000. If you'd like to go over your specific scenario for your family and get a financial breakdown, feel free to reach out to me. You'll find my contact information in the video description below. You can either call me or set up an appointment and be happy to help. Again, my name is Ori Pounders. I'm a licensed mortgage advisor, NMLS number 2013035.